Recording. Thank y'all. So we'll build in so we'll keep this one in now because I keep the multiple versions. This is going to be really cool with the overloading. See the multiple different ways we can implement this system.
Quick thing, Cliff. Did you make a repository for this? Because I'm on my laptop and I actually don't have this project.
Let me pull that up. What are you?
And then that way I can load it in here and pick it up.
Like I did. But did I put it on GitHub yet? That's the question.
That's when I saw was doggy daycare.
Probably didn't do that yet then. There you go. That's what I meant to do. Create the repo on GitHub. And the Git.
I just clone it into my computer, I guess.
CH12. Yeah, you would just clone it, and then once you clone it, what I would recommend is delete the dot. If you want to edit it, delete the .git folder. Otherwise, you're going to try to push to my repo, and you don't want to do that.
Right.
You don't have access.
So yeah, I just delete the hidden Git folder. Okay.
Yep, and then you can re-init it for your own use.
Makes sense.
Yep.
And this is good Git practice.
Yep, exactly. Which again, we'll be doing that probably next week or the week after. A couple more like Git pull demonstrations. Yeah,
there it
pull
is.
It down. There we go. And so yeah, cohort 12 drink dispenser now. Like I said, I'm going to prefix all my repos to you guys with CH12. I think I did that with the other one too. Pretty sure I did. I'm pretty sure I prefixed it with CH12. Yes, CH12. Well, I only did the underscore, but it's fine if it's an underscore dash. That doesn't need to be consistent as long as the CH12 is. So yeah, CH12, that's anytime we have a project, my goal is to make sure we have that uploaded to you guys. So like I said, if you miss a day, you can download the repo. If your code isn't working, you can always download my repo to compare the code side by side and see what's not working. Anytime you can always take that code, remove the .git and have that be your starting point. So that way you don't fall too far behind.
So I actually downloaded the zip file and it just came without the Git folder. So
yeah, if you do the zip file, it does include the zip. Yeah, the Git.
Okay.
Cloning does, downloading the zip does not.
Okay.
And I will warn everybody, if you fork a repo, that keeps the connection to the original. And if you push to a forked repo, you will not get a green square out of that. So just be aware.
Whoops, check in.
Yeah, so forking a repo, pretty much it's like I don't know why they call it. I kind of know why they call it fork, but it's a bit misleading when you first hear it. Forking a repo makes a copy of yours, but what it's doing is making a fork from their repo to yours. So you're forking off from theirs and starting with that as your starting point. So you can make different, you can update that code separately. The idea is that you create a copy of that repo in your account. So you have one of those. The downside of that, of course, is that if you push to forked repos that you do not own, you do not get a green square for that. Just be aware that if we want to try to get those green squares. Like I said, we're going to try to do that when we get back from the break. We're going to try a 30-day challenge, see if we can push once each day. Just be aware, yeah, if you fork a repo and you push it, not that you should be doing it, but again, if you do, those won't count. Let's see. Back to the code now. So we have the default here, which is going to use these settings. So there's no parameters, there's no specifiers because we have all the fields predefined. We can also take another variation where we can take the volume for small, medium, and large and override those default values. And another option we can do, and I think this is what Mike and another did, was allow these cup holders to be created outside of the class and sent to the class so that the class can reference them with their external items. So in this case, instead of taking an int, we're going to take a cup holder, small, cup holder, medium, cup holder, large. So this means that the cup holders were instantiated somewhere else. And then the cup holder object, the instantiated object, was then sent as a parameter to this item. And then we can link those so that the drink dispenser can reference those cup holders that were created externally. And one of the benefits of this is then we could create a system where we can swap out the cup holders. So like I said, if we ever wanted to change our small cup holder from being an 8 ounce, we could swap it with a 9 ounce easily, or swap it with a 7 ounce, right? So that's one of those benefits of this one. And that would be just that small, small. Medium. Small case there. So these are kind of the 3 ways we could implement the cup holder system for the drink dispenser. There's multiple different ways we can do this. This version here, the number 12, is kind of how we did the this add syrup, the 55 add syrup, where we get the syrup details and when we instantiate a syrup here. So the first version of our constructor is similar to our add syrup that takes the details. The third one, this one, is similar to how we did the add syrup, new syrup version. So we have those 2 variations. How do we use these? Maybe that'll help a little more. So again, I'll go back to main now. Comment all this out for a moment. So Cliff's dispenser, we're using this constructor where we provide it the sizes we have, 5, 8, and 12. So you have fairly small numbers. We're going to change that to 10 just to make it different from the default behavior. To use the built-in ones where we get the 8, 10, and 12, we can just do drink dispenser, Keith dispenser. And that we leave it blank. That one's got the cup holders already built in. We just order, this is like ordering the default model from the catalog, right? That's kind of the idea here. We ordered the default model here. Say, give me what you got. I don't need any special orders or anything like that. Just give me your standard drink dispenser that comes with the 8, 10, 12. This one right here, it would be like me saying, hey, I want a drink dispenser with custom cup holders, a 5 ounce, an 8 ounce, and a 10 ounce. Make sense? The last version is if you decided to buy a drink dispenser, say, hey, I already have cup holders from another system, or I'm buying my cup holders from a third party. So just send me this drink dispenser with no cup holders, and I'm going to get the cup holders ahead of time. So I'm going to do a small, let's see, cup holder, SM equals cup holder. And what size do we want to do this one at? So we have a 5 and 8, and what size do we want this small cup holder to be?
4.
All right, we'll go super small. I like it. 4. We'll do a cup holder. Ah, Slimer just came back. So, review cup holder.
Hey guys, I'm back. Sorry.
I see it. No worries.
6, 8.
We know the storm's going on, so we're wondering if you lost power. 8, you said?
6, I would say,
6?
and then
Okay.
large would be.
Got large to be the 8. That works.
Are you guys rebuilding the drink dispenser?
We're kind of just digging a little deeper into how the cup holder drink dispenser relationship works.
Okay.
So
Awesome.
This one. And so with these now we say we have some cup holders that are, we just have them in our store already. Now these could have been from an older drink dispenser that we just took these off of. We could have bought these from another supplier. And so we can now it would be like ordering from the drink dispenser. Hey, I don't need cup holders. Just give me the drink holder, and I'm going to add on these 3. I already have my own cup holders. That's kind of the idea of this version of it. So that would do drink dispenser. Who wants this one? We have my dispenser, Keith dispenser. Who wants the third dispenser?
Sergio.
Sergio's. In this case, now we're just going to give it those 3 cup holders we have: SM, MD, LG. I did not like that. Shut up.
Semicolon?
Yeah.
Oh.
Oh, I'm being dumb.
No equals new. Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, that was a weird mistake. That wasn't so obvious to me right away. I don't know why. Anyway, so this one now we're creating and we're attaching to it the 3 cup holders we already have. So again, the idea here is we can definitely create these objects in multiple ways. So always feel free to play with these and however you envision the item, build it the way you picture it in your head. So that's what I'm saying, the way Matt did it. And again, I don't remember who else did it besides you, but someone else did it your way as well. So I never said doing it that way isn't wrong. One of the benefits of doing it this way is that I could actually refill the cup holders without having to access the dispenser. I could do sm.refill 8 instead of having to do, if I want to refill Keith's dispenser, I have to do Keith's dispenser dot small dot refill, which is similar to how I had to do mine. So my dispenser, I had to refill through the dispenser. Keith has to go through the dispenser because they were created and the drink dispenser owns those objects. Because these objects were created outside the drink dispenser, we can access those cup holders directly. And so some people could see that as a benefit because I guess you wouldn't necessarily in all drink dispensers have to open up the drink dispenser to reach in to add cups to it. At least the ones I've seen in the stores, the cup holders are kind of external to the drink dispenser. And so you just kind of reach up and just throw them on, right? At least that's what I picture in my head. You see kind of how the relationship works a little more?
Somewhat. I got work to do.
We're here to help, don't you worry. Danny, here's to play with this. How
Yeah,
can I explain it?
having trouble with just kind of like the flow of
Hmm.
logic, I guess, like where to start. To build an object, I guess, and then
All right, I think I can show one of the techniques I've used before. Let's see, trying to think what I can build quick with you guys to kind of give an idea of what we can build.
I think what, I don't know, Travis, I don't know, you could be in the same boat as me, but I feel like this thing needs to be whiteboarded and then,
Yeah, that's what I'm gonna do now.
and then go to, and let me see what it's gonna be, like, how do you derive the object from trying to figure out what
Not
the hell
bad.
we're doing? Because I keep, like, you have a lot of knowledge about this drink dispenser, and I'm like, wait a minute, I'm not thinking like that. I'm not thinking in those terms. I'm not like, like, there's a lot of knowledge that I don't know about drink dispensers, I guess.
Well, really, I'm just coming up with it as like, if I had to build an automated drink dispenser, how would I do it? So let's do
It's funny.
something
You know what's
similar.
really funny about this, though?
Go for it.
And I can
curious.
get this for us because, so my brother-in-law was at my house this week and he works he's a director at a company.
Oh, wow.
And I was telling him about this project. He's like, this is exactly like the test we give our people before hiring them, but it's designed, what they do is AI drug dispensers. And they have, basically it's a pharmaceutical, they do pharmaceuticals, and you have to design, the back end to control the volume of the medicine in the, in the machine and everything being pulled. And like, they ask you to design the whole thing in an hour. He says it's impossible to do.
Right, but you want to see how far you get.
Yep, and like your logic, and like I was like, did you look for clean code? Clean code's good, but you've got to get something working as well.
Yeah.
So it's probably more important for the get something working. But it's very interesting. He's like, if you want the problem, I'll give it to you guys.
No,
I could actually have him come into class and like talk to us, because he's got like 90 reports. So
the more examples we can do, the better. Because that's really where we feel like we learn the most. Like for me, that's what I learn the most. Building things that are kind of related to the real world that I'm going to build for the project. The more real things I build, the better I do. Like I can watch video on video on video, but if I'm not building something, I have no confidence that I actually understand it.
Sure.
So that's kind of how we try to push the lessons, me and Arnell too, because we're kind of similar in that. And again, what I think I did explain to another student who asked about the Mosh tutorial, seeing whether or not they should buy it themselves. Because if you actually do have the Mosh item yourself, you can get a certificate at the end. Whether or not certificates are going to be beneficial in the end, what we're trying to do, our certificates nice, they look nice on a resume, but how we sell you to the companies, we sell you based on your projects. We try to say, this is what they built, this is what they can actually do,
Yeah.
versus this is what they've completed. Instead of focusing on, oh, they've been able to complete these courses, which is nice. That's good to show that you can stick through it and get to the end. That's not a bad thing. Our selling point for you guys is look at everything they've actually built and put together. We do a project-based resume versus a completionist resume of like, hey, look at all the tutorials that they follow. And we do see that the companies tend to respond better to what you've done versus what you've completed. What have you followed along with? Because that's not what you're going to be doing in a company, is following along a tutorial. You're going to be creating stuff, right? So while certificates definitely are good because it shows that you can stick through a problem, stick through a task and get through it, the key items, the big important items are definitely what have you built? So, definitely we can do a little review. So what I'm thinking of is let's kind of go through, so since we did a drink dispenser, let's try doing an ice cream dispenser. So it's going to be almost similar to the drink system, but slightly different in different names. And kind of how would we come up with it? And so there's two different ways that I kind of come up with my classes and their structure. One way through a whiteboard, another way is through Google Sheets or through a listing system. And so first one I think about is, okay, I have an ice cream dispenser, ice cream. Sometimes, depending on the project, it is visual. Sometimes it's not. But for this one, yeah, it would be visual. I would see a machine. If I have anything from the real world that I can reference in my head, I would. I'm like, what if I say an ice cream dispenser? Can anyone think of one that maybe isn't automated, but you've seen in the real world?
That is automated or not automated?
It doesn't have to be automated, just an ice cream dispenser.
There's usually some sort of hopper that has ice cream in it.
Yeah, the hopper at the
Lever
top.
that
Yeah, you got the
dispenses.
lever.
Soft
One lever.
serve.
How many levers?
2.
All right, I've seen like my iconic one is 3, but 2, you definitely do 2 levers.
Oh yeah, 3. Chocolate, vanilla, strawberry.
Yeah, I got the or the chocolate vanilla swirl in the middle.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, I'm thinking I got the soft serve machine in my head, I think.
Yeah, that's kind of what I was thinking too. It's
Yeah.
like, they have kind of like the drums that almost
Yep.
rotate around.
Yeah, I thought that was the slushy machines are the ones with the drums that are swishing it around.
I thought
Frozen
the
yogurt
soft
does that
serve-
too.
Oh, okay, cool. I didn't know that. Yeah, so yeah, they're seeing that's what can help with this is seeing multiple people's designs. And so you're thinking one like this, you have the drums and it's spinning and you got the dispensers and they got the lever on it.
No, I'm not talking to my dog. My dog's going crazy because of thunderstorms.
Oh, yep, I can see that. And so we have the drum version where the liquid's like in here. And it's rotating over and over again.
Yeah, kind of like those.
Just spinning
slushy things.
Yeah, kind of like that. And then we have my version that I thought of, which was the soft serve, vanilla, chocolate, and swirl. So you got the 3 spigots. One, the middle one does the swirl. One of these does the chocolate. The other one does vanilla. So that was one I came up with when you do in the cone. Got that? Any other ice cream dispensers people can think of? And if you've seen it in the real world, go for it.
Places I go to scoop ice cream out of a bucket.
The only one that I can think of is it was already prepackaged, like frozen individual ice cream things. It wasn't soft serve or anything like
On the
that.
vending machine, right?
Yeah,
The ice cream vending machine. So there you go. You could argue that's what if you were asked to build an ice cream dispenser, you could argue, well, you thought of a vending machine ice cream dispenser. That's definitely something you can argue. And you could, of course, build that as long as it dispenses ice cream, unless the interviewer gives you a specific type of dispenser.
Mhm.
as long as it does the dispensing, that's what matters. That we have the little dial pad, and then the little, either the buckets here or the buckets here. I don't remember. This could be considered the change bucket, I guess. I don't know. And then if I remember those, actually, I think I'm remembering one of those now. Those use like a hose, don't they?
Yes, there's a freezer inside that the lid opens up and this
Yeah.
little suction thing comes down and pulls it up.
Yeah, I think I remember seeing those now. I know exactly what you're thinking of now. Okay, I see it in my head. And so just from saying an ice cream dispenser, we have 3 different variations of something we can build. And so this could actually be fun that each one of you could actually build one of these. We can pick which one to build together, and then another one could be a practice item for you guys to work on your own. Which one are we thinking we want to do? We have the soft serve, we have the frozen yogurt style, or we have the vendor. What are we thinking? I can put a
What
poll
are
up
the
on that.
options in the vendor thing? I think the first one.
Big on the soft serve.
I don't know. That seems like the most
We can
That's-
put up-
Seems good
logical
to me.
one. Yeah.
All right, we can do this one. Like I said, I would say that this one's going to be very similar to our drink system. This one could be a little different, but very similar to the first one. This one's going to be very, very different.
Yeah.
So, while still having some similarities, not completely different, but definitely different. So, if you think about so we have this guy, and if we do the 1-2 swirl, so we have 2 flavors with a swirl where they mix the 2 flavors. What can we imagine is inside of this? What sort of objects exist in this, or items do we care about for our automations in the work? Because let's think of, well, there's 2 ways I tend to approach these. 1, what are the items, or 2, what are the actions that are going to be performed by the machine or on the machine? And then we can, once I know the actions that take place, I can decide, well, what entities are doing those actions? You know, so there's 2 ways I approach it. Create the entities first, then the actions, or do I create the actions, then figure out which entities are doing those actions? And that can help me come up with my objects. Which way do we want to go with this one? What do you think is going to be best fitting for this system here? Trying to pull this apart and figuring out what entities exist, or deciding what we're going to do with the item via the automation system, and then creating the entities that perform those actions? What do you think works better?
I think finding out the pieces first.
So you're
what
thinking
it is,
pieces.
what it has.
All right.
What was his answer? I'm sorry, I didn't hear that, Freddie.
He's thinking of going with the objects first. What entities exist in the device? And then we can decide what those entities do. So again, there's 2 approaches that I mentioned. And I base it on how much I know about the object. So if I'm not familiar with the object, I'll lead with what actions does my system need to do? And then I'll think about, well, what entity in this object probably does that action? And there's my object. The other option is, if I know the pieces if I'm pretty confident I can kind of understand maybe the pieces in that object, I'll start with the pieces first, the classes, and then give them actions. And then I'll also be able to rule out which one of these entities I don't need because I end up don't giving them an action, or the actions seem unnecessary. So Freddie thinks we want to start with the pieces first and then give them actions. Any other opinions?
I'm not sure which one. I'm not sure which way is the better way. I really don't.
Again,
I don't. I mean,
for
then
me-
again, like you said, it could be. It's a crapshoot. It doesn't matter.
Yeah.
As long as you understand
mhm.
one of them, then I think it'll help you out with the other one.
Yeah, and that's it. And you can always start one way and then realize, oh, I'm gonna go the other way, and be like, no, I'm not coming up with objects really well.
Yeah.
I'm gonna switch over to objects, and then the objects could I'm gonna switch over to actions for a little bit, and the actions can help you to realize, oh, I forgot this in my objects, and vice versa. You think of all the actions, like, well, what performs these items, and then you'll come up with a object like, wait, that object does more things, and I don't have that listed. Here's another action that I didn't think of. So there's really no right answer which one you should start with. My rule of thumb that I'd like to use is, how well do I know this item? If I'm pretty confident I know what parts are inside of it, I'll lead with the parts. If I'm kind of vague on what parts might exist in this real life item, I might start with the actions first. Because I know how to work with an item. That's kind of easier to figure out sometimes for me. Like, I know how to interact with an ice cream dispenser, right? And so I know I can take a pretty good guess on what actions might need to be automated to turn this from a manual one where I walk up, put an ice cream cone underneath it, pull the lever down, and dispense ice cream. I might be able to figure out what parts of those I can then automate, what actions of those would be automated, right? And so I might lead with that versus the other way. So again, it really just depends on the item I'm working with and my personal experience with said item. So let's go ahead and start with the objects first.
I was just gonna
Oh.
say, like, is it, so are you looking at it from a perspective of, okay, like I can imagine this working like this way. I haven't seen one work this way.
Yeah.
But I imagine like, oh, we could have different size cones, you know, be dispensed. But like, I've never seen it done before. I mean, it becomes one of these things like, do you have to? I mean, if the employer is asking you to just design an ice cream machine,
Yeah.
you
Well,
want to go
it's-
down that like rabbit hole and like, oh, I could do this, this, and this, and then all of a sudden you have something.
Right.
Time is, you know, you're being paced and you didn't get anything done because you took on
Very
too
good
much.
question. Very, very excellent question, because that is a key thing we as developers have to be very careful of. And there's a concept that we call MVP. I feel like Arnell should have mentioned it before. Maybe not, or at least one of your instructors may have mentioned it before. MVP is, and most people know the sports version of this, which is most valuable player. We're not talking about that this time. Does anyone know what MVP means in this situation?
Minimal viable product.
100%. Minimal viable product. What is the minimalistic system we can build that satisfies the requirement? And so if we're being asked, hey, I just want a machine that can dispense ice cream, one size cone, one flavor, let's get it dispensing. Once I have that working, I can easily add on additional features. Once I know I can get a machine to dispense a single flavor of ice cream, now I can expand on that. Let me add systems that can handle multiple flavors. Now let's make it so that it can combine those two flavors into a swirl type. Oh, I can handle one cone. Well, let me add multiple cones now in different sizes, maybe even different flavors, different structures. Like we have the plain cone, and then you have the waffle cone or the bubble cone that people have been coming up with recently, or the crepe cone. I don't know. There have been some crazy things coming out in some of these cities now. And like, what is it? India has really interesting ice cream street food. I think it is. I think it's India. There's some crazy ice cream videos out there. We have the rolled ice cream nowadays. So there's tons of things happening with ice cream nowadays. But all you need to build in the beginning is just get the target requirement with the most minimalistic stuff required, and then you can add more. So unless the person contracting you to this has said specifically, this thing needs to handle multiple flavors or multiple cones, you don't have to worry about those yet. And even if they do, you don't have to start with that. You can always start with one cone, one flavor, which is partially the reason why I tried to show yesterday on Thursday. Ignore the syrups. I mean, ignore the flavor shots for the moment. Just get the syrup system implemented. Where by trying to do both the syrups and the shots, we were kind of biting off more than we needed. And maybe that's something I could have done with the cup holders. Instead of doing all three, just start with the one cup holder first. Maybe I got a little too excited on that because it seemed simple to me. So that's something maybe I could take a bit of a stab for. Should have done one cup holder instead of three of them. But just having small, medium, large cups just seems second nature to my system. So I didn't think of that at first. But yeah, that's something else that we could have done. Always, yeah, MVP, minimal viable product. So yeah, when you get a task from a company or from someone, what is the minimum bit you can do to fit the qualifications? And that's what you want to make sure you're doing because in your interviews, that's what you want to do. Just get it working. You actually just said it with you said your friend or family member?
Oh, family member, yeah.
Family member, that was it. I couldn't remember the F word.
It's my brother-in-law. My brother.
That was it. Yep. Yeah, the brother-in-law, like he said there, we're not expecting him to finish it. There's no way to finish it in the hour we give.
Nope, nobody
So,
finished.
yeah, how far can they get and how effective is it? Right? What did they think of? What pieces did they think of to get as close to that build our system as they could? Right? So that's one of those keys. Try to build as the minimum items required to get to that end goal. That answer the question?
Oh, yeah.
Oh, awesome. So let's think about our ice cream dispenser. What are some of the minimal pieces on it? Let's start with the
To
pieces.
dispense ice cream.
Is that an object or is that an action?
Action.
We can do that.
Action, yeah.
So dispense. Yeah, actually, I want to do this. It's going to save me from pain. Come on. Yep. That. That. There we go. Sheets. And this is another tool I use for organizing my thoughts. So actions. So there's David. Did we lose him at one point? Yeah, we did. I didn't see him drop. Might call it dispense in the end, but we'll call it dispense ice cream to be a little more specific. And I think this should be ice cream. That, what do you think? Ice cream with a small c or ice cream with a capital C?
I would have said
Capital C, right?
Yeah, if we're
I
gonna,
have no idea. Is ice cream 2 words or 1 word? I don't even know.
I don't know. I think
it's 2 words.
yeah, I think it's
I wrote it as 1 word here, but I don't even, I'm now
Oh.
questioning myself.
maybe capitalize the I in ice cream also.
I did. That's not an L.
Oh,
That's
it
an I.
My eyes are falling apart, apparently. Never mind.
All good. It happens. Okay, we'll make this
Glasses.
125. There we go.
Yeah, ice cream's 2 words.
Now I can.
Okay, good. Yeah, ice cream with a capital C then. Okay, good. So we have our action to dispense the ice cream. Now, if I was trying to, now here's some things I might ask myself with this. Whether I'm asking another person to dispense me ice cream or a machine to ask to get dispensed ice cream, what might I tell that action what I want to make sure it gives me what I want? So that's what I'm trying to figure out. Like, I'm not doing it. So if I'm going up to the machine, I'm going to go up, I'm going to pull down the lever, it's going to dispense it. At some point, I'm going to let go. Now, if I wasn't doing it myself, I'd have to tell someone else to do it, whether that be a person, an employee, or the machine. What is some information I would have to tell that person or machine to make sure they give me what I want?
How long to hold the lever down?
Yeah, how long or how much? What else?
Is that a time thing or is it actually like a visual thing?
That's the thing. We have to figure out, like, is it time-based? Is it volume? So we have to figure out how we want to implement that in our system. That's why I said how
So
long.
that's
slash much.
subjective.
Exactly. So I put it
Like
there,
somebody
how
could come
long,
up to the
much.
window and be like, oh, I want a small, but a real small one.
Yep. So maybe it would be, and it depends on how, and with the how long, how fast did the liquid come out? I don't know if anyone's
Oh,
actually
yeah.
worked. Yeah, I don't know if anyone's actually worked with an ice cream dispenser before. When it's low, when it's full, it comes out pretty fast. When it's low, it starts to come out slower. And if it's super, if you haven't used it in a bit, it gets super cold, it comes out slower. On a hot day, it slides out nice and fast because it's semi-wet. So you can't go based on time if you're actually working out with the companies because it's not consistent. You can't count 1 and 2 because you'll get different sizes depending on
Yeah.
a lot of factors. Crazy, right?
But you couldn't even put it would be tough to automate.
Probably in a soft serve, possibly, but I don't think it's impossible. We probably would want to do it based on weight. So how much instead of how long,
Yeah.
right? So I'm thinking like maybe if we, like I said, we're not actually building it, so whether or not it's possible, we're not too cared about at the moment. This is more of a exercise. Could we automate the system given a perfect environment?
Yeah.
And so maybe we would
Which
say,
doesn't
well,
exist.
the holder maybe has a scale on it. So as the thing that's holding the cone has a scale. So as it's filling, it can tell how much is put in, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
And I can think I'm pretty confident. Now this is me just thinking about the real world again. Most of you, I'm pretty sure, are thinking of the common swirl pattern that you see at like McDonald's or some of the other places, right?
Sure.
From my head, I don't know why this suddenly popped in, but I remember when I was a kid, I lived like 5 minutes away from a Dairy Queen. And the Dairy Queen system actually does a push thing where they hold down, they push up, they go down, they push up again, they make a mound, and they don't do the swirl. And so that might be easier for an automation system to handle because it doesn't have to worry about trying to balance it. Right?
Yeah.
So that's something we could consider doing. So just fun being, and this is where, again, sometimes having a team can be way better for this is, and why sometimes reviewing the starting process with a classmate might help you to think of things you may not have thought of before. But in all key intents and purposes for this, we don't need to know exactly how it's going to dispense the ice cream, just that it does, right? We didn't really care how our drink dispenser dispensed the liquid and the syrup. We didn't care about the bubble system. Do we have to worry about fizz and letting it disperse and then filling it up again or anything like that? We didn't worry about any of that stuff. We just said, hey, dispense the certain amount and we're done. We don't care. We didn't worry about ice or anything yet in our drink dispenser. So for the moment,
That's
who
right.
cares how it dispenses, just that it does. And that it might be better to consider the amount versus how long to dispense, right? But again, this is if we were working with someone else, if we were telling someone else, hey, I want a cone of soft serve. Can you give me like this much, or just want a little bit, or a little bit, I want a lot. I want that thing falling over. You're gonna tell your friend how much ice cream you want on it, right?
Yeah.
In some way, shape, or form. So we definitely need to tell it how much ice cream we want in the dispense ice cream method. What other information might we tell this person or machine that we want to get our perfect ice cream cone? Or ice cream bowl even. Honestly, we could just do a bowl. We were just assuming it's a cone. We could always put it in a bowl and then we never have to worry about balancing it.
A lot easier to weigh.
Hmm?
I would think it would be a lot easier to
Yeah, bowl
weigh.
would probably be a lot easier, wouldn't it?
Yeah.
There we go. Screw the cones. We're doing bowls. Well, let's see. What else would we want
Cones
to?
break.
You said what other information?
Yeah.
Like the flavor it dispenses, right?
Are you a chocolate or vanilla person? Come on.
Chocolate all the way.
Strawberry.
I'm more of a, I'm more of a pistachio person.
Yes.
Yeah.
Ooh, is there soft serve pistachio somewhere?
Yes, Sergio.
Who has soft serve pistachio? That'd be awesome.
Yeah.
I've never seen soft serve pistachio. That probably be
Yeah, I
delicious.
mean that needs to be a thing.
I think I'm gonna have to agree with you on that one. So you got what vanilla? I swear, as I'm typing flavor, someone said the word vanilla on me. What flavor?
I wrote down what vanilla.
Yep.
All right.
Good, I wasn't the only one who didn't realize what they were doing. So what flavor? Anything else you might want to tell the person?
Oh man.
Dispense ice cream.
I mean, is it gonna add Jimmy's?
Yeah. That's
Is it
something
with
to now.
additives?
I'd probably do this with like a star, add toppings, because
Yeah.
I'm not putting that in my V1. That's not happening in V1.
Yeah, this is second. This is secondary.
So yeah, I put a star in there, add topping, and that might even not be part of the dispense system.
I mean,
That
the
might be an add
size.
topping. Yeah,
So how
There it
much
is.
goes down to the size, though?
could be right. Yeah, we could also do like if there's a type of cone, like we want a cone or cup.
All right.
So what
I thought
container?
we,
we
I
could
thought
argue.
we already decided we were going.
Well, yeah, we did that
Okay.
before. We've all now, yes, as a group, we then decided, you know what? Screw it, we're going cup. Somebody's gonna replace that with just cup. It's not a thing. I don't need that anymore. But during my brainstorm, I could add that and then be like, okay, cone or cup, what's gonna be easier for me? Cup, okay, I'm just going cup. I don't need that anymore. That's not a variable. That's not a variant or it's something that can change each time. It's just you have cups, there's no options. So I don't need to tell the person to get me a cup because that's the only option, right?
Yep. Yeah.
And so that's how I can kind of whittle out options too. Yeah, cup or cone in a normal situation, but in this situation, there's only cups. So that's not something I would have to tell the person to get me if they were getting me my cone or my ice cream. So I think that's really it. It's just how much ice cream do I want? So that kind of gets me the size. And what flavor of ice cream do I want? And that pretty much will get me my ice cream, right?
Yeah.
There's a dispense ice cream. Any actions or objects that we want to add to our list?
I think Matt is eating ice cream right now.
It looked like it.
Pudding is close enough.
Okay.
But the conversation about flavors made me remember that I have this in the fridge and the temptation was too strong to
Ooh, I
overcome.
have a raspberry one, but I just ate, so I'm good. I have a raspberry
Perfect.
yogurt in my fridge.
Oh boy. Was there a question? I'm sorry.
It's all good.
That-
We're
that
just
was-
thinking any other actions or objects we want to add to our brainstorm.
But what
That's-
about when we run out of ice cream?
All right, yeah, we may need to refill the refill.
Yes.
And now, again, how do I want to understand this method? Well, again, this would be, again, my idea is like, if I'm refilling it, what do I do? And then, okay, now that I know what I would do to refill it, so I would assume that I'm gonna add some sort of either the solid ice cream or some sort of liquid ice cream. Does anyone actually know how a soft serve machine works? What does it take?
No.
I have no idea.
Now,
It's
here's
in
a quick
bag.
question. If we had to figure out how to fill a soft serve ice cream machine, what could we do?
Google it.
Google
Could
it.
Google it. So yeah,
Run
definitely
down to
could.
7-Eleven and ask the guy how he does it.
I worked at a 7-Eleven. We didn't have it. I don't remember having soft serve ice cream there.
The guy
Cooked
at
hot
7-Eleven
dogs.
got something. I don't know what it is though.
Here we are.
Slush,
You see it right there.
slushies.
See it right here on the first video right here. What does that look like? We're pouring in what?
Looks like they pour in
A bat.
kind of.
Yeah,
solution.
right on the. And if you see on the second one here, it looks like he's pointing on the top of a machine. So probably there's a container for the liquid for the liquid ice cream formation. And again, I can vouch that this is true. You have a bag of liquid ice cream that you pour in, and it softens it in real time. So it comes in liquid, and then it freezes it as it goes down.
Wow.
That's what keeps it soft, and that's why it's not a hard ice cream. It's frozen in real time.
Hmm.
So, trust me, the very first time I saw a bag of vanilla ice cream, I'm like, I don't know if I ever want soft serve anymore. Especially when I started to pour it out, and it's like, blah, blah, blah. I'm like, this is actually not very appetizing looking. It's just a bag of goopy liquid. Not that
It
thick.
must be
Oh, it
extremely
is
cold.
ice cream. It's just
Yeah.
frozen cream.
Yep, it's really just frozen cream. It's the machine's very cold. The liquid is just it's actually was stored in the fridge, which was one
Wow.
of my crazy things. When I was told the very first time I worked at Friendly's, that's why I know a decent amount of soft serve ice cream systems. I worked at Friendly's, and I also worked at McDonald's as well. So I've had some experience with the soft serve ice cream machines. When I first had to refill one, I went to the freezer for like, I don't see any ice cream in here. Like, oh no, it's in the fridge. Like, why is it in the fridge? Made no sense to me the very first time. Like, oh no,
Oh, it's not frozen cream. It's slightly cold cream.
yeah, and then the machine is what freezes it. Didn't know that. So that was But if you're building something you don't know, don't be afraid to Google about the actual physical item to learn about it and understand the object. Again, object-oriented programming is about using the real world as inspiration for our code.
Mm.
We're taking a real life item and bringing it into the digital. So now we know that if I was a human trying to refill this, I'm going to get a bag of liquid. I'm going to pour it in to a bucket, into a bin. So now if I had to tell someone else to do it, whether that would be a person or a machine, what would I have to tell that system in order to get them to refill the machine?
It's running low. I mean,
You have to say it is low, so you have to tell them to do it. But would I need to give them any sort of details on how to refill correctly?
pour it in the top of the machine.
All right. I don't know if I have to tell them that because there's only one spot to pour it in, right? So a machine might already know
Yeah,
that.
I don't know if it's multiple spots or not, but
Well, that would be probably multiple sauces, multiple flavors, right?
yeah.
So it depends on our machine. If our machine has only one flavor, then yeah, there's no specificity. Maybe the only thing I would say is how much to add, right?
I would think
One
the whole
bag, two
bag would
bags.
probably,
True.
yeah.
Yeah. But just, in the machine, I need to just know how much do we add to it. Again, not necessarily not needed.
Does it sit like the first image you have right there? Does it just
Yeah.
sit up top like that? Does it get covered at some point?
It
or
does
is
get covered, yes. They do cover it, yes. It's a good
And it
question.
sits,
Yes.
yeah, and it does go. And I was just wondering if that just goes into the machine from there,
Yeah.
or is it so it sits on top, and then as it's
Yep.
called for, it goes down.
Yep. And while it's up there, there's some sort of agitator that keeps moving the liquid around so it doesn't separate.
Oh,
And so
nice.
it doesn't freeze too solid. So as it brings it down to just before freezing. I don't know if anyone's seen the magic water thing where they have a water bottle, they hit it and it instantly crystallizes.
Hmm.
I feel like
Yeah,
they
I've seen
keep the
that.
liquid near that temperature where it's only like a second away from freezing, and then it goes down the chute through a really cold tube. That's what finishes it off
Hmm.
and causes it to freeze instantly. So I think they keep it at that cold temperature. And then as you pull down the lever, it's just coming through and getting frozen pretty much at that time. At least that's how my brain works. I never actually looked into it.
That makes sense.
Yeah. I just remember that, yes, when I would open the thing when it was low, I would feel the cold coming from it. I would feel that cold radiation like when you open a freezer. So I know
Yeah.
that the inside of it's cold, but I never actually put my finger in it because that would be bad.
Let me try
I
it.
wonder how
somewhere
cold
else.
this is. Never did that. But yeah. So yeah, it depends on our machine. If we had to, we could do a star, what flavor, and then maybe we might need to tell it how much to fill in. So those are some items we might need to add in. Otherwise, it could just be a very static method where it's just, hey, you refill, I'm gonna add a bag, which is just set at 500 ounces of liquid. It could just be a very standard method. It's like, hey, refill it, here's your bag. So there's some items we might need to tell, but maybe not. So I'm going to add those stars to say whether or not that's important. We don't know. Any other actions?
Oh, so like an espresso machine has like a clearing, like a cleaning
Clean method. All right.
clean method. Yeah, so if you clean out the, what do you want to call it? I don't know what to call it.
Bucket. I think it's called the reservoir.
Yeah, the reservoir, but not necessarily the reservoir. The
Spigot.
the spout.
I don't know.
Yeah, the spigot.
Spout,
Yeah, the
spout. There you
spigot. Yeah, yeah. The
Either one of those works. Spigot, spout.
yeah.
It all works. Any details we need to give to the person to clean it, or is it just a standard process?
It's a process after so many
Yeah.
bags, maybe. I don't know if this is how many
But again,
times.
if I was telling another person to clean the machine for me, would I have to give them any sort of specifics on how I want them to clean it? Again, dispense ice cream, I had to tell the person how I wanted my ice cream, like how much ice cream did I want and what flavor did I want. For the refill, I might need to tell them which flavor to refill and how much ice cream to add to the system. I might need to tell them that unless they come, like I said, in standard bags, then I wouldn't tell them how much. I do know there's a type of version, I think in this video, you can actually see they actually make the liquid at the office. So they actually pour it into a powder. They pour water into it. So you might have to make a certain amount, but I can tell you from where I worked, it was just a bag. So that's why I'm saying that you might need to say how much refill a liquid you need, but not always. They might just come pre-made, which is what we had. So in the clean system, is there any sort of
So
details?
it could
that I
be
would
like
give
a
to make
quick
sure?
clean and a long term, like a long clean. Like there could be multiple types of cleaning.
True. A level of cleaning, right?
Yeah.
That we
Like
could add
quick-
in. We can do that as a star, so then we can add in advance and just have a standard cleaning method in version 1, right?
Yeah.
Is one type of cleaning in version 1. In version 2, we can add in the quick clean and the longer clean. Let's go back to me as the person going to get ice cream. If I'm thinking about my specific steps, I'm going to walk up to the machine. What is the first thing I'm going to do?
Hold the
I'm going to get a cup, right?
cup. Well, you're either holding the cup or the cup is going on a platform of some
Right.
sort, right? And then
I
you
mean,
you're pulling the lever. Get
we get a
up.
cup, and then we're going to dispense the ice cream.
Yep.
And again, this is only if we have it. What size is that actually something we care about in our system? If there's one type, if we only have one cup, this is unnecessary. If we have different sizes, then we have to tell the person what size cup we want. Are there any other actions that an ice cream dispenser does? That we care about, maybe? I think that seems like it might be it. What do you guys think? Like if I have these actions, I can get myself an ice cream, right?
I think so. The only thing with the dispense ice cream, if you're gonna do a swirl, you got to use both. So
We need more than one flavor, yeah.
yeah,
So
you're just asking what flavor. I guess it's the same thing. Swirl.
yeah, we could create a swirl method that does take from both flavors at a X ratio. And so the swirl, we could say ratio and which flavors still, which 2 flavors are we combining? If our system contains more than one flavor or more than 2 flavors, sorry. So if you had a really fancy machine, then yeah, your swirl system could be like, hey, if your system serves both vanilla, chocolate, and strawberry, it can do a vanilla strawberry or vanilla chocolate or a strawberry chocolate. It could combine any 2 flavors. That could be a real nice fancy machine, right?
Yeah.
So, and in an automated system, let's get fancy. And especially if we're in the digital world, we're not bound by physics yet. At least not yet. So those are some questions we might ask. We might need to figure out when we want to set the machine to the flavors. And yeah, if you really want to get fancy, who knows? A really high-end ice cream machine could say, well, how specific do you want your swirl? Do you want a chocolate heavy swirl or a vanilla heavy swirl, right? Like maybe you don't want a 50-50. Maybe you are you're a chocolate lover, but you wouldn't mind a hint of vanilla in there, right? So you could tell it that and be like, hey, I want a 75-25 or an 80-20 or a 60-40, because I can tell the difference between 60-40 and 50-50. My taste buds are that refined. I could tell the difference. Let's think of some of the objects that exist in our dispenser, in our ice cream dispenser. What is the main entity that exists here?
Obviously, the ice cream or
Yeah,
the,
the ice cream dispenser,
the
right?
liquid
Machine.
ice cream. Yeah.
Oh, we have the oh right, the reservoir, right? Bar. Or we can maybe call it the ice cream tank. Call it the tank instead of reservoir, because I don't want to have to spell reservoir. So I'm going to call it the ice cream tank. So a lot more. I have a little more confidence I can spell that consistently. So 100% be okay with changing names to more typing friendly names. Be perfectly fine with that. You want to be descriptive enough that you know what it is, but at the same time, feel free to use a more typing friendly word. Don't be afraid of that. What other items exist? So where does the ice cream tank exist in?
The machine.
I get the machine, right? Answer. Machine. Any other entities exist?
The ice cream itself, right?
Well, yeah, the ice cream itself, yeah. Whether or not we need to track that in our system, we'll find out. Any other entities exist?
The dispensing lever.
We do have the lever. Anything else?
The
Got
cup.
one. Yeah, we have the cups, right? Cups. Anything else? If you think we're good, say it. Yeah, right. I think we're good, at least for now. We can always think of more. And like I said, now we want to try to see which one of these machines is going to do these actions. So if I'm going to dispense ice cream, which one of these entities is going to dispense the ice cream for me?
The dispenser.
Lever.
I got this issue with the lever and the machine, right? It's kind of both they're kind of doing. The lever triggers the dispense, but of course the lever is attached to the ice cream machine. And so, in the real world, I'm going to go up and I'm going to pull down the lever and dispense. In an automated system, do I need a lever?
No.
Yeah, so maybe the lever isn't needed for this system, and we can just have the dispenser actually do that. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to move that over here and put this guy underneath them.
Huh?
All right. Let's see, we have the refill method. What entity do you think is going to take care of that? So when I refill, what am I interacting with?
Tank.
Yeah, I'm putting liquid in the tank, right?
Mhm.
So I can put that. So I'm going to take this guy, move down here, and put the refill method on the tank. We got a clean method. What entity handles the cleaning?
I mean, it's back to the machine again, but
Makes sense to me. We could argue, I guess someone could argue that maybe the tank cleans itself, but I do think we clean the whole machine, not just the tank. So this makes sense to me. allowing the machine to trigger the clean method, the clean cycle.
Hmm.
Get cup. Who do we think handles that? So I have two that would be argument and that could be argued.
I think that's the dispenser again.
That's one of the items I would think of. Yeah, we can definitely say that the dispenser dispenses the cup. What else could dispense the cup?
Person.
You don't have a person.
No.
Technically, you are right. And actually, we could implement that system. For example, at CIC, some of you've been there, they have the coffee machine that's automated, except for the fact of putting a cup there. You have to put the cup in. It then detects that a cup has been placed, doesn't detect anything besides that, just knows, hey, there's a cup here now, and then it will dispense. So that is something we could argue and say, you know what, screw our version 1 system. You put your own cup in front of the machine. We'll dispense the ice cream, but you give us your own cup. We're not going to handle that. So screw it. Let's not do the cups for the time being. We'll keep that up here in the top area. We'll add that later on in version 1.1. We'll stick with version 1 where we're just going to assume a cup has been placed. How about our swirl mechanism? Who's going to handle the swirl?
It's the machine again.
I would think so, yeah, on that one. Probably the machine, which will interact with the tanks. But it's definitely going to be the machine that dictates it. So we currently have 2 classes that would definitely have actions. So let's see. Let's take a look at these other items we have left over. So we did talk about how our lever, while does exist in the real system, since we're trying to automate it, we don't need a physical lever. The lever is going to be a physical lever inside the machine that's going to release liquid. It's going to be mechanical. We have a mechanical lever that's built in the machine that will interact with. Now, if you're actually building this for a real system, you probably would have a lever class that is in charge of releasing the liquid and stopping the liquid. So definitely good to think of that when you're actually building it for a real physical device. Right now, we're just kind of learning classes and learning them. So we're dealing with, for example, the ice cream dispenser in a video game where we don't have to worry about actual physics. We can just say, hey, release liquid, and it does. We don't actually have to move a piston or anything like that. We don't have to move any mechanical pieces, right? And so a lot of times that's what we're kind of doing. We're creating real life entities from the real world, and we're just moving them to a digital world. And so we don't have to worry about the physics. We don't have to worry about moving mechanical parts or actually moving a cup along a conveyor belt or spinning wheels. But definitely have in the back of your mind that if you were building this for a real world entity, those are some things you might have to consider as other classes. How, like having a mechanical lever that would release the liquid, right? That would start dispensing it. So we had to pull back the plunger that's stopping the liquid from flowing, right? So definitely good to have that in the back of your mind. So this was a great item to add. It's 100% legit, even though we're not going to use it on our system because we're building an ice cream machine for a video game, maybe a restaurant simulator. While you're working on a restaurant, and you hit a button and it just dispenses. There's no lever to detract. We're just saying start dispensing. The ice cream. Do we need an ice cream object, or is it just what the tank is holding? What do we think?
This is what the tank is holding.
Yeah, so we probably just would have that as like a couple fields. So
Yeah.
What would that be in the tank? We track for the ice cream.
Flavor and quantity.
Yeah, it's just gonna say the volume.
With the volume, if we're a single flavored machine, then yeah, we don't need flavor yet, but yeah, we could always add the one above, say eventually flavor. Same here, we go say star, what flavor, when we add that to our system. In version 1, yeah, we just care about how much ice cream is in it. What flavor? We don't care. We filled it with a flavor. If they're at this machine, they want whatever flavor this machine has in it, right? So we can start at the beginning just saying, hey, whatever flavor it is, that's what they want. We know how much flavor we have. So if we're dealing with like this machine we see here, which is a very small ice cream machine, it's one flavor. We just need to keep track of how much is in it. Yeah, so that would be it for that. So that's our ice cream item. Our cups and our levers are all set. We have a dispense machine that dispenses the ice cream, cleans and swirls. And then in order for it to do these things, let's think of any field that it might have. Move this out of the way. Or separate. So the dispenser to do what it needs to do, what other piece, what does the dispenser need to have in it? What does dispenser to have ice cream? What does it need?
Ice cream
Yeah, which is stored where again?
in the reservoir or
In a
whatever.
tank, yeah.
Yeah,
Means
the tank.
our dispenser needs a tank, right?
Yeah.
And so it has a tank. And this one we could even say this is an int. This would be a string or a string most likely. And this would be an IC tank. See how we're starting to build out what looks like an object now, or a blueprint of what we want to build in code?
I think so.
So now it's going to come together. So let's see if we can build these two classes to build a very basic version 1 ice cream machine. Let's try building that. So I'm going to make a new project. But actually, I'm wondering, what time are we at? Right, 8 to 10. Let's see, do we want to maybe try having you guys build this for like half an hour on yourself, and then on Thursday or Friday, whenever I can get to another study session, we want to try to build this together and see what we all build? Maybe you guys work in a kind of a group setting between now and then.
I
What
like
do you
that
think?
idea.
Is it
Gonna
alright if
practice
we
now,
do
right?
like different
sounds
things than like what you need, like for the clean and swirl? Can we like
Of
name
course.
them different things?
Oh,
And
100%.
have different ideas?
This is just a brainstorm. This is not your requirement following, like you have to do it like this. This is the brainstorm session. None of the, whenever you're doing a brainstorm or a pull together like this, you're not setting laws, you're setting a guide, you're creating a guide. And guides can definitely be adjusted if you find something wrong with it or something in your way or doesn't add up, you can adjust very slightly. Like if you're following a path in the woods and there's a tree fell over your path, you'd be like, well, I'm screwed, I'm done. Or what do you do instead?
Go around it.
Right, you find a way around it, right? You work around that situation. So this is your guide, this is your path. And yeah, at any point you could realize, well, this doesn't actually make sense. I don't like this path. I'm going to adjust a bit. At any point you might realize, actually, you know what? We forgot something. You can add in another method. You can add in another field at any point. Sound good?
Yeah, that sounds good.
So yeah, what I'm going to do is I'm going to actually, I'll leave this chat, this group actually open for another 30 minutes. You guys can actually work on it in a group to start if you want, or code along with everybody. You guys can meet up tomorrow, and I'll probably do another study session either Thursday night or Friday night. There's a chance that my mother, who has her days off on Thursday only, might try to take advantage of the fact that I don't technically have class on Thursday, because she usually doesn't get to see me on most weeks because her days off are Monday and Thursday, and those are the days I have class. So she's like, I never get to see you because you always work on my days off. I'm like, I'm sorry, that's my class days. Why do you have Monday and Thursday off for a hair salon? That's a weird 2 days. I don't work Sunday, but you work Sunday. That's weird to me. So she might try to take me out for dinner that day, me and the wife. So I'll let you guys know if that happens. But no matter what, I will hold another study session at some point this week where we take a look at what you guys created. If you guys want to submit to me your repos on Slack, I'll take a look at them. Again, your TAs are Matt and I'm losing brain fry with my names now.
Joel and Freddie.
That's it. Thank you. Joel and Freddie. I almost said Frank. I'm like, that's not his name. My brain is in Frank. I'm like, he is not a Frank. No. Like, that's why my brain was like, yeah, Matt, Freddie, and Joel. So your TAs, so feel free to reach out to them, ask questions, get help, do walk, and do peer programming, honestly. Don't be afraid to code along with another person one-on-one. Take turns, work together on it. Do a mob session. The main thing is to get that assistance going through this. And what we'll probably do is have you guys on the next study session. We'll have you guys start by showing us, we'll take turns kind of showing what you guys created, what you guys tried to put together. And what I would like you to do with this is take the mentality of what Keith's brother-in-law said. Your focus is not to complete it. Your focus is to see how far can you get? What can you build? and what can you come up with. If you somehow build it all fairly quickly, expand on it, add more flavors, add some cup sizes, add toppings, have fun with this thing. This thing shouldn't be a challenge for you guys. It's an optional exercise. This should be a practice for you. So have this be more like a playground. That makes sense. All right. Yeah, one of that ask questions is not an exercise. This is a practice. So ask questions, have fun with it, play around with it, have some fun names. Make this, use this item to help you guys feel more confident in Java. Sound good? All right,
Yeah.
I'll keep in touch with you guys. I'll definitely reach out tomorrow, and then we'll figure out what day we're doing the next study session. All right.
All right.
Sounds
All right. Cool.
Thank
See you
you.
then.
Thanks, Cliff.
No, definitely. Glad to help. I'll try to get this up on the YouTube channel as soon as I can.
Awesome.
See you guys next time. But like I said, I'm
See
gonna keep. I'll keep this open for 30 minutes. I almost closed the meeting. I'm gonna stop the recording though. So I'll stop the recording.